This car right here weighs over 2 tons and still it's able to outrun supercars. This is the Mercedes AMG GT 63 4-door, and in this video we're going to recreate it in Blender. So let's start right with chapter 1, setting up the car blueprints. In the first step you always want to type in the dimensions of the car into the dimensions of the cube. And what's really crazy about this car is that it's long, it's over 5 meters, but it's still designed to feel aggressive and compact at the same time. The compactness is also achieved among other things through the rear wheel steering, which in my opinion is a necessary thing on cars like this. Another thing that's necessary in my opinion is to bring down the opacity of the blueprints to 0.1 so that you can easily see the vertices that you place without the blueprint disturbing them. So after setting up the car blueprints correctly and putting them into a new collection called blueprints, we can finally start with chapter 2. The car body. For the car body, I have added in a new cube and have merged it at the center with M and have placed it onto the beginning of the hood blueprint line. Then I took this vertex right here and have extruded it down to the end of the hood at the front. With Ctrl and R, I have added in some loop cuts to the side and have aligned the vertices onto the blueprint line. And by the way, if you're interested in how to create a low poly car in Blender, you can check out my full step-by-step course with the first link in my description. And by extruding these vertices all the way to the left side with the clipping option in the mirror modifier enabled, I have already created the first faces for this car. And talking about this car, we need to mention that it's not even a real AMG GT, because it's actually based on a completely different platform and is way closer to a luxury sedan than a sports car. And still, it's as fast as a normal sports car, because under the hood that we're currently modeling, you can find a 4-liter V8 B-turbo with 585 horsepower. And after finishing off the hood, I started to work on the front fender of the car by first creating the front wheel arch. And this is also the most asked question inside of my Discord server, on which part you need to create after you finish off the hood. And if you should have any other questions on how to model a car in Blender, you're of course invited to join my Discord server and ask your question there. And the front fender was a really easy part to do, so after filling in the faces of the front fender, I have continued to work on the front bumper. And the way I did this is really simple, as I've just traced down the blueprint lines with some vertices, and with the same amount of vertices at the top and at the bottom, I could just easily go ahead and fill in the faces with quads only. I continued the front wheel arch at the area of the front bumper, filled in the faces with the vertices from the front side intake, and I have to say that the front bumper of this car is way more complex than it actually looks like, and it will get even harder when we start working on the black parts of this car. But for now, we are already done with the car body parts of the front bumper, and we can start to work on the side of the car. As the doors are almost flat, it's not that hard to recreate them, so after finishing off the front door in just a matter of minutes, I could already start to work on the back door, and this one wasn't as easy as the front door, but by tracing down the blueprint lines and adding in some loop cuts, the back door already was looking really good. So after finishing off the back door, I always start to work on the back fender of the car, and as the back fender goes into the roof of the car, I always start to work on the roof of the car from the A-pillar from the front, so that I could connect the vertex from the front to the vertex from the back. And after tracing down a second line of vertices for the roof and filling in the faces, the roof that consists out of the car body parts is already finished, as the rest consists out of black parts. So therefore I started to work on the back of the car, and because the front vertices are covering up the blueprint for the back, I went into the wireframe mode and with shift and the left mouse button selected the front vertices and pressed H to hide them. Like this, I could easily go ahead and press Ctrl numpad 1 to go into the back view, and I could see every blueprint line. So I first traced down the blueprint line for the taillights, then filled in some faces for the back fender, continued my work at the back at the trunk area, created the frame for the back window, and of course I have created the back bumper. And after finishing off the front by filling in the faces for the license plate area, I have created the last car body part, which is the side spoiler. So with the car body part at this point finished, we can move on to chapter 3, the black parts. I started at the front and first wanted to recreate the front grille, so therefore I have duplicated all of the outline vertices from the car body part and pressed P and clicked on selection to create a new object containing all of the duplicated parts. With I have inserted the face a little bit inwards, and then with E extruded it back. Then I have continued on the front side air intake, as at this point I had problems to tell which vertices belong to the black parts and which vertices belong to the car body part. I had to move on to chapter 4, the materials. At this point we only had 2 objects, so I've added in the car paint to the car body part and a black material for the black parts. As the front bumper at this point with all of the black parts was looking way too complex, I decided to recreate the chrome bars at the front grille. I've added in a new cube to the scene, which I've scaled down to the size of one bar. Then I aligned the bars manually to the shape of the front grille. And after setting off these faces and putting the inner area into the objects of the black parts, we have started with chapter 5, the chrome parts. And after adding in the material for the chrome parts, the car was looking really good at the front. So after finishing off the front grille, I continued my work at the front bumper, and just like I already said, it was a complex part as I had to create some really weird faces at this point right here. But after adding in this air intake at the side right here and applying the materials, the front was looking really sick. So at this point I have started with chapter 6, the details. I have duplicated all of these faces right here to recreate the V8 B-Turbo badge at the side, and after doing the modeling part I have also applied the materials to it. Then I continued my way to the back of the car and have added in this black part at the side spoiler right here, created the air intake at the back bumper. Then I took all of these vertices right here and have extruded them all the way to the left side to recreate the roof. And with the roof finished, I have started with chapter 7, the windows. I have started this off at the windshield, and I of course also recreated the windshield wiper area. After adding in the material for the windshield, I have also recreated the black frame for the windshield itself by using the knife tool with K. Then I continued the windows by creating the chrome frame on the side of the car for the side windows. I have recreated the needed pillars, and then of course of the side windows itself. For the back windows I have added in a little bit darker material to have an effect on some tinted windows, and then I of course also recreated the back window with its black frame to finish off all of the glass parts. After this I have started to work on the diffuser of the car. For this I have added in a new plane to the scene from which I have modeled the area for the exhaust. Then I could extrude some of the vertices to the back and connect them to the rest of the faces. I have then deleted this face right here and then created the inner area for the exhausts. And with a new added in cube, I started to model the exhaust itself, and the exhaust came out looking really good. With the knife tool I have cut out this area right here and have added in a red material. I have added in one more cube to the scene to model the license plate out of it, and after adding in the materials it started to look like a German license plate. In the overlays menu I enabled face orientation and saw that a lot of faces were calculated incorrectly, so by selecting these faces and pressing Shift and N I have recalculated them. And once I finished this, I started with chapter 8, the side mirrors. The side mirrors weren't too complicated, so I could use the simple method on creating a side mirror. After creating the base shape I have also added in the area for the indicator and then have created the area for the mirror itself. So with the side mirror finished, I've continued with chapter 9, the lights. I of course started at the headlight by duplicating the outline vertices and creating the inner area. Then by filling in this face and inserting it to the inside, I could model the LED bar for the daytime running lights. With a new cube I have modeled out the low beam and the high beam headlight, and after separating some objects and adding in the materials, the headlight was already finished. I started the taillights off the same way as I also did the headlights, by first creating the inner area and then I worked my way down to all of the single light parts. With this, the modeling of the taillights came to an end, and I've added in some more details like the door handle at the front and at the back door. And as this was finished really fast, I've started with chapter 10, the car panel gaps. I first recreated the car panel gap for the hood by adding in a bevel to off the edges that separate the hood from the front bumper and from the front fender, and then I could move the inner edge line into the inside of the car to create the panel gap. I've also done this at some smaller parts where the front fender separates itself from the front bumper, and of course also on bigger parts like on all of the doors. After adding in the last panel gap, I have also duplicated the license plate from the back to the front and then started to work on the last missing part, which leads us to chapter 11, the wheels. I of course started with the rim by creating only one segment of the 6 segments that the rim had. After creating this one segment, I could go ahead and calculate the rotation value and then rotate this one segment to get a complete rim. I've also added in a basic tire, a brake disc, and have imported an already done brake caliper. The last thing that I did was to copy and paste the wheels also to the back so that we can move to the last chapter, chapter 12, the renderings. So in the background right here you can see the final renders of this car. And I think that at the end it came out looking really good. Tell me what you think about the result in the comment section. If you're at this point interested in how to create a 3D low poly car for yourself, you can go ahead and check out my full step-by-step beginner course with the first link inside of my description. You're of course also invited to join my Discord server where you can find like-minded people, and if you want to get better at 3D modeling, this is the place you need. Alright my kings and queens, let me know which car I should model next. I wish you all the best for the future and we will see us in the next video.